Cleveland Cavaliers, who improved to a franchise best 10-0, best start they've ever had in Cleveland, Ohio, and the Warriors drop their first road game of the season and have their 5-game winning streak snapped. They did not lead whatsoever in this basketball game. 8 different players on the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Burn the tape!
And this is what you call a burn the tape game. That's right. Just burn it and move on and get ready for Oklahoma City.
Is that a VCR?
Yeah, kids, that's a VCR. You put it in like a VCR, and we'll explain that a little later. I don't think kids going to understand what that is. But anyway, welcome to Toyota Warriors Post-Game Live. The Hall of Famer Chris Mullin, NBA champion Festus Ezeli, I am Bonta Hill, and this started early and often. A 20-2 start by the Cleveland Cavaliers. They go crazy from the three-point line, 14-22 in the first half alone, and they won this game wire to wire.
Whew, Bonta, that was a good old tail whipping by the Cleveland Cavaliers on the Warriors. Everything from the jump of the game, just moving the ball, hitting shots. The Warriors couldn't score to start the first half. They were shooting 63% from the three-point line in the first half. It's insane what they were doing. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, they were special. They got the bench going, and everybody else followed.
First 4 minutes and 27 seconds, Bully. Cleveland's up 20-2. In the first quarter alone, they hit 7 threes, go 7 of 10, and we discussed their three-point shooting before the game. They were making 15 a game, averaging 36 attempts. Well, tonight, they go 20 of 41, including 14 of 22 in the first half. They were up 41 points at the break. This team could shoot. They could defend. That was impressive.
Yeah, I think, Bonta, you said it. This is an underrated team in the Eastern Conference. And obviously, they're the top of the Eastern Conference. But I think the Celtics, Philadelphia, any other team you want to put in, I think Cleveland's got everyone matched, not only with their roster. I like the style of play, the balanced attack. Again, they got hot in the first half. They didn't cool off much.
No.
Those efficiency numbers off the charts. I mean, to get down 41 in 24 minutes, and you got to be super hot, like Cleveland was. The Warriors turned, they had 13 turnovers, I think, in the first half. They did much better in the second half, taking care of the basketball. The bench got some good minutes in. It was more of a workout, but you got to give the bench. They scored 77 points, the Warriors bench, so they got some good minutes in. Maybe that can carry over a little bit. But in general, burn the tape, move on to OKC.
Well, let's discuss this three-point shooting of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were shooting 42% from the perimeter on the season. Darius Garland was shooting 47% coming into this game. Donovan Mitchell was nearly at 40%, and 8 different Cavaliers hit a 3 in this game. Darius Garland was 6 of 11. Mitchell really didn't have the three-point shot going on, but Isaac Okoro goes 4 of 6. That's foul money for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they just kept shooting and shooting and shooting, and ended up 20 of 42, not 20 of 41, 20 of 42 from the three-point line, as he fell.
Well, Bonta, you know there's a familiar face on the sideline for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that's head coach Kenny Atkinson. That same the principles for the Warriors, ball movement, man movement. They just did such a great job of cutting, getting to the basket. Everybody was moving. 5 guys, like we say for the Warriors all the time, 5 guys are active, and all those 5 guys are threats on the offensive end. We were talking about Isaac Okoro. This is a guy, he's a non-shooter, a guy that you're supposed to let shoot the ball in a defensive scheme. But even he tonight, 4 for 6 on the three-point line. They just got great quality looks the whole game.
Tonight, it seemed the Warriors were a step slow. I think we talked in great detail about how the improvement defensively, one-on-one, containing blow-bys. I thought tonight the Cleveland Cavaliers guards were getting by the Warriors perimeter players, creating havoc either for themselves. They were getting dunks. They were getting wide-open threes, obviously, in the first half. They made 14 threes in the first half. So I thought Cleveland did a much better job dictating tempo, the style of play that they wanted to play, and the Warriors played catch-up the rest of the night.
And defensively, they wouldn't let the Warriors breathe on the offensive end. The Warriors were really struggling to start. Again, they were down 20-2 before we blinked. They had 39 points to Cleveland Cavaliers in the first quarter, but their defense limited the Warriors from open looks. They really suffocated Stephen Curry and company. And the Warriors in that first quarter, which really felt like the game, they were 2 of 9 for the three-point line, 22%, 9 of 22 overall in that first half. And really the numbers with a great second half, it's a little inflated here because the Cleveland Cavaliers, their airspace. Look at the defense here, Fezzi. They were trapping, they were long, and their size really bothered the Warriors in the half court.
Okay, Bonta, think about it this way. The head coach, Kenny Atkinson, came from the Warriors, and he had all the answers to the test. Gave them all the answers. All they had to do was come out there and execute the game plan, and they did it to perfection. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they have all these incredible athletes. Very long, very active. They're young, they're fast, and they dictated tempo the whole game. You can see it from the jump. The Warriors couldn't get any shots off, and every time they wanted to go somewhere, it just seems like the Cleveland Cavaliers were already there waiting for them to go get a shot.
Yeah, get back to the quickness factor. Defense, we noticed it in blow-bys. Offensively, those were clean layups against the Celtics. Andrew Wiggins getting by his man, getting to the basket. Cleveland Cavaliers did a much better job on second efforts and multiple efforts defensively. I just think overall, for whatever reason, they look like a step slow, both offensively and defensively. Every shot they took was contested. They couldn't get by Cleveland. Give the bench credit for the second half comeback. They cut it to 20, whatever, and they got some good minutes in. But overall, it was one of those games where they just looked lethargic.
Yeah, their athleticism and the length, they took it to the Golden State Warriors, and they were fired up for this game as they become the first team since the 2015-16 Warriors to start the season at 10-0, and they look great right now as we look at the top of the Eastern Conference standings here. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to have something to say. We forget they lost in the second round to the Boston Celtics last season, a very competitive series, and all they do is switch the head coach. They don't even have Max Strus yet. Niang gave them good minutes. Ty Jerome gave these guys good minutes off the bench. And so their depth is really good. Their starting five is in sync as they play their second and third seasons together here. They're going to have something to say out there in the Eastern Conference, Fezzi.
I mean, the thing about this team is they have the size. They have the athleticism. They got great shooters. They got ball movers and Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. And then when you talk about the bench, Ty Jerome is another face that we know from last year. They didn't want you, Ty Jerome. And he came out there and was really shooting the ball, made great plays. Karis LeVert is a guy who was quiet tonight. But this is a team that's very stacked from top to bottom.
I thought Steve Kerr's pregame comments were very appropriate. Kenny Atkinson walked in a similar situation Steve did 10 years ago. A very good team that needed a new voice in that locker room. And when you make that coaching change, I think it puts a lot of responsibility on the players to come back more committed. I mean, no one feels good about having their coach fired. You feel responsibility for that. Kenny Atkinson, a championship coach with the Warriors, so perfect timing for him, and he's obviously getting the best out of each player individually.
And he's probably happy he's not in Charlotte, North Carolina right now. Remember, he accepted the Hornets job. He said, nah, let me chill on the Warriors bench for a couple more seasons. He takes his Cleveland Cavaliers job, and he looks really good at doing it. All right, but the Golden State Warriors, how do you flush this? I know we joked around about burning the tape. What can you take away from a game like tonight?
Well, two things happen. So you have the return of Brandon Podziemski and DeAnthony Melton. Both guys got great runs there in the second half. The Warriors actually did a much better job in the second half. Think about it. The third quarter, they outscored the Cavaliers 41-26. That's the tempo you usually see from the Warriors, but the deficit was already 41 points. So all you had to do was cut the lead and find ways to get into good possessions. They finished the game with 40 assists tonight. These are the little things, 32 assists rather. These are the things that you wanted them to carry over into the next game going to OKC.
I think it's reinforcing Steve Kerr's message during the Celtic game. We don't have the margin of error we once did. Attention to detail. We made the adjustment in the Celtic game. Tonight, the attention to detail, the early turnovers, it cost us.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Warriors News. Let's dive into last night's game between the Warriors and the Cavaliers. Now, while the Cavs did pull off an impressive win, breaking their own record with a 10-0 start, I've got to say, this wasn't our Warriors' usual form. Right from the start, Cleveland was on fire, hitting threes from every corner and putting immense pressure on our defense. They came out fast and aggressive, holding a solid lead almost the entire game. But here's the thing, it's clear the Warriors are working on some long-term adjustments. Steve Kerr's been experimenting with rotations, giving our bench more minutes, and even though we were outmatched last night, there are still some big positives. The Warriors bench put up 77 points. That depth is something not every team has, and it's going to be crucial as the season goes on. Plus, we saw some strong defensive moments in the second half, showing that we can adapt and learn even in tough situations. So while the Cavs came out on top this time, we're just getting started. Warriors fans, what do you think? Should we adjust our rotation or focus more on defense? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest Warriors updates.